What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
All right, I think we are all set. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Underground Sports Philadelphia. The most untimely ending to what was a rather fun overall Red October once again. It's KB and Matt coming at you from Underground Studios. You already know why we're here. We're like Marshawn Lynch. We're here so we don't get fined. Gonna put an untimely bow on the 2023 Phillies season. Talk about what went wrong, what we would have liked to have seen, and how the hell does this team get over the hump in 2024. Plus, we'll talk some Eagles. We'll talk some Union as they get set for the postseason. And
if you thought you were disappointed by the Phillies exit.
Just you wait. Just you wait. So, yeah, come along for the ride. Enjoy, buckle up, and enjoy our demise. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials. Twitter, which we have had a massive bump in following lately, so welcome to all the new Cretans that are going to be following along with our absolute hellscape. Welcome to the ride. It's going to be a lot of fun. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, at UndergroundPHI, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you decide to consume your podcasts in audio form. It really does help the show continue to grow, helps more people find Underground Sports Philadelphia as a whole, helps everybody find our podcast network, because when you search our name, all of our shows pop up. And once again, this guy right next to me and Dom, top bins on the U.S. soccer charts, once again on the Apple podcast charts. So continue subscribing. Leave those 5-star reviews. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. We finally surpassed 600 subscribers, on our way to 700, looking to get to that big 1,000 as well, because we got some big things planned across the board for all of our shows once we hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So go subscribe. That's where you get this podcast in full video form, every podcast on our network in video form. You get clips, live streams, you name it. It's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And, of course, this podcast is presented by the City of Vineland. I just got word, Matt, City of Vineland loves what we're doing so much, they're buying in again for 2024. We love to see it. Love to have the support of our hometown behind us. And the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. Matt, what's going on, brother?
I am living a dream.
And as we had deduced, I believe last year or year before, nightmares are also a dream.
One of these years of misery. Not doing as bad, I'll be honest. Not as bad as I maybe. I was talking with someone today, and I said, I don't even think this is in my top 5.
Wow.
I said that kind of off the cuff, and I thought I was like, yeah, I don't think it is. It's definitely not even the worst Game 7 loss. Still Philly and Toronto for me there. But yeah, I think not even a top 5. For me, it being outside of a championship is already, I think losing a championship is always harder. So any Super Bowl, any final appearance, like honestly, even like the Union last year, that was
tough. right
30
there.
seconds away. Like, yeah, it's definitely. I don't even think it's the worst NLCS loss by the Phillies team in my lifetime. That at least hurt the most. I don't know. Like, 2009 World Series is way harder on me. 2011, I think, is the one Phillies team I'll always think about that should have.
This game had shades of 2011 Game 5 against the Cardinals in a lot of ways, too, which was weird.
Like, sputtering at times, and but that's baseball. That's what it is. I think even like last year's Super Bowl, I feel like you played that game as perfect as you could pretty much and get punished for like one mistake going up against Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't know, like 04 Super Bowl even. That was tough. What else is there? 2010 Flyers. I don't like it. It's listen, last time was not fun. I didn't have fun, but you put it in perspective. It's like, yeah, but we've suffered a lot. I read we've lost 7 straight Game 7s as a city, which is not cool. not in love with that stat. I don't know. There are 2 things I want to blame. One is that we've continually used the inferior version of we need to get the Robin version of the song. I think is where we've really gone wrong. And I felt that way from the start, but I wasn't trying to yuck anyone's yum, sour the tea, anything like that. But I think if we're gonna keep this song, if we're gonna keep like I'm in the corner, I think we need to switch to the Robin version. That's all I'll say. And this is not a joke. I will show you my DraftKings log. As soon as I saw Bryce Harper walk in his Sixers jersey, I bet against the Phillies. As soon as I saw that, I was like, we are losing. This is a terrible omen. It's like, I don't know if you ever heard this growing up, but if a bird like flies into the window and dies, that's supposed to mean someone like is supposed to die. As soon as I saw that, it was a bird hitting my window. I was like, it's done. I was watching the game all the time. I was like, it doesn't matter.
I tried to convince myself. I was like, oh, it's Pat Bev. He doesn't
Pat Bev is a notorious loser. He's a notorious loser.
And I thought that. But my first initial reaction was like, oh, it's Pat Bev. He hasn't,
The dude cried and celebrated winning a play-in game last year. And, like, the guy who I sung praises of last week just said, like, that's who I'm riding with. You could not pick 2 opposites in mentality. Unbelievable. As soon as I saw that, I was like, we have lost. We have.
And it sucks that
lost.
I responsibly placed the largest bet of my life last night. Because I said, if I'm going to ride with the boys, I'm going to ride with the boys. And I went down with the ship, both emotionally and financially.
Well, so I always do this for every playoff series. I always bet opposing team at the start. And it's just a nice little, it's a happiness tax. If it's like $20 I lose, fine. But, if I was going to lose $20 but the Phillies go to the World Series, I'll pay $20 for the Phillies to go to the World Series. So I think it was a really nice thing. That was my only silver lining. Staying up late. Man, just what a comeback down to earth all that was. Starting at the series so good. It felt like, obviously we were not going to be hitting 15 home runs in 4 games. You knew a come down was going to hit, but bats just cooled off at the wrong time. I didn't even think the pitching was bad, honestly.
No.
Like, I really didn't.
Outside of one, unfortunate happening in Game 4.
Yeah, Kimbrel
blowing Game 4
and
sucked.
I think what's tough about Kimbrel is it kind of felt that way all year. And Kimbrel had like good moments for sure. And I think for at his age, I think you can't be too upset with what Kimbrel gave you this year, honestly.
Oh, 100%. I think before the playoffs, if you told all of us Craig Kimbrel gets another contract from the Phillies, people would be fine with that.
Yeah,
He was an all-star this year.
If he gets another contract, I don't think that's terrible either. Like, I don't know. I don't know that that's in their future. And, like, we'll get to there at some point in the future of what this team kind of turns into. But, yeah, I think that's the real inflection point, I think, is Game 4 in this series. But, listen, you still won Game 5. You had 2 at home. You had Nola and Suarez. If you don't win either of those games, that's on you. Like, that's
and it was
the reality.
on the bats. Like, and sure, Nola had his worst postseason start of the season, but the bats can't go cold like that.
He reeled it back in. I was
100%.
very worried. I thought we were gonna have to pull Nola out of that. but
pulled him earlier than you anticipated.
right.
But he definitely reeled himself back in. When you have Ranger Suarez on the mound, pitching the way he did yesterday, just absolute ice in his veins, and you score him 2 runs.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the biggest issue this entire postseason, we saw it in Atlanta, we saw it at times against the Marlins, and luckily it didn't come, around to bite us, and we saw it really bad against the Diamondbacks. Stranding multiple base runners early in the game came back to haunt this team time and time again. When you get Schwarber and Harper on, or Schwarber and Turner, and you end up with no runs, you don't win a series by doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was. Can't tell you how many times we had. A lot of times though, it was like really bad situations. We'd get like runners on the corners with 2 out. It was never even like bases loaded yesterday. But Rojas is up, and there's no.
Now, I wanted to bring that up. In that situation, if you're Rob Thompson, it's a game 7. You got to put your chips in the middle of the table to go to the World Series. Are you pinch hitting for Rojas there?
I don't think so, because I think the game is still so tight that what he gives you defensively. I don't know what sub you make in that situation, because also we haven't really done a lot of pinch hitting this.
Because I think it would have been
postseason.
Christian Pache, because then you
Yeah.
get an equivalent, defensively, where you can put Marsh in center, put Pache in left. And you're not losing too much.
Is Pache really like? Are you trusting a guy that's barely swung a bat over the last month? Like Rojas, but also my expectation for Rojas was what he turned out to be. Like he's a raw rookie on the offensive side. That almost everyone has their 9th hitter is batting 140 in the play. There's very few teams that are ever going to have someone at that position that is really capable. It's just, I think a lot of times the wrong opportunities, the right opportunities fell to the wrong optimal positions. Your Trey went cold at a really bad time. It just sucked. I think there's a lot of things that went wrong, and that again is just, that's baseball. It's a dumb
Nick
sport.
lost his mojo as soon as they went to Arizona, which sucked, and he talked about it after the game, and I think that was one of the things that reeled it in for me to be like, at least they're holding themselves accountable at the end of the game, when they're getting interviewed after, and you're talking to Nick, you're talking to Schwarber, Harper, they held themselves accountable, and in a lot of instances, you don't see professional athletes really look themselves in the mirror on that raw emotion state. So for them to be able to kind of recognize that, we fucked up was, leveling at least. And Nick talked about, he said, as soon as we went to Arizona, it felt like I was, scraping away for at-bats, and I just lost everything when we went out there. And I think that is just the pure quote, that's baseball. That just shows you how quickly you can gain or lose all of your swagger and momentum as a baseball player.
Yeah. And, got to give credit to the Diamondbacks, too. I think largely, outmatched in this series, but never – I'll tell you this, way better, and there's no way to measure this, whatever, but I'm just saying it, as a fan watching this, way better mental resilience than the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves were rattled in that series, and I really never felt like the Braves were fighting their way back in it. Even when we were up 2, I was like, I felt comfortable, honestly, at that time saying, it may not come back to Philly, because that's just what it was. You're coming off a dominant 2-home stretch. You just beat them 10-0. There's every reason to believe that this series probably ending in 5, maybe ends in 6, but even still, it's they're going to win a game. They're going to win. They're going to get a game at home at least. And, they did what they had to do. They extended the series. They got aggressive later in the series, which what we talked about, that they have speed. They have guys that can be dangerous on the bags, and they did that. They were turning what might be doubles into triples and scoring guys from first even. It just, and that's something that they didn't really do in those first 2 games. I think they grew into the series a little bit. So, they deserve credit too for kind of growing and challenging the Phillies in a way that they couldn't respond. And I think that's the frustrating thing too, is, this Phillies team has been really good at adapting and has a lot of answers for a lot of things. And I feel like still had a lot of answers for the time, and it just never manifested. I don't know. It's such a strange feeling, because coming into the NLCS, it still felt like we were playing with house money. Even though this team was in the World Series last year, like, it still felt like, man, like, beat the Braves again. That feels amazing. Like, we have the Diamondbacks. Like, there's no baggage with the Diamondbacks. It's not like, we lose them now. It's like, God, never going to hear the end of it. Like, I don't love losing to anyone, but you're not losing to a division rival. You're not losing to someone you have, like, a big history with. It felt like neither team had a ton of pressure on them. Like, it just felt like, and it just, I think that's the only thing from saving me from being, like, really despondent about it. But it just sucks because, also, too, you don't know if you'll be back in this spot. That's just the way sports are. Like, you don't know. Sure, we can say, like, this team will be back next year. That's not guaranteed by any means.
Especially in baseball.
And this team was healthy this year. Like, largely speaking. Like, starting pitching, pretty much healthy this whole year. Suarez came into the season, like, with something,
Injury,
but
right,
was healthy for all, the important stretches. Bryce was obviously dealing with his stuff, but that was, like, stuff we knew about, like.
And then Rhys Hoskins, which was spring training.
But, like, for the most part, like, this lineup was healthy. They were healthy coming in the postseason. Everyone that we projected April 3rd, to be a part of this team was a part of this team for the most part, right? Like, there's a few, like, rookies we thought maybe young guys that might break through, but
yeah, the only one was, like, Andrew Painter.
Who you paid your money to was there in the playoffs, and not everyone gets that luxury. Like, there are teams that lose guys throughout the year, and that's not guaranteed. We talked about that with the Eagles last year, right? Like, you don't get 22 starters to the Super Bowl. Like, you just don't. Like, that's just not a thing. So even outside injuries, there's just no guarantee that things go as right for you as they did too. Like, where you got hot at a great time. There's no guarantee if we play the Braves in NLDS next year that we blow past them. Not even just win that series, just completely destroy that series. So, yeah, having a 3-2 lead, going to 2 games at home with a chance to go to a World Series, that is just not guaranteed to you next year. I think this team will be back, sure, but you really don't know when you'll be in a spot like that again to go to back-to-back World Series. And who knows? Texas obviously would have had the home field advantage, and they do now for Arizona, but so they're probably just by that favored. But I don't know. You like your chances, if you make it to World Series, you have to like your chance. Arizona has to like their chances. They beat very good teams on the way here, so it's just what it is.
Of course, Underground Sports Philadelphia is brought to you by our awesome merch partners, PHI Apparel Company, with their unique and awesome designs for all, from Philly sports teams to Underground Sports Philadelphia exclusive merch. There's no doubt in our minds you'll stand out in the crowd. From Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Union, and like I mentioned, Underground Sports Philadelphia, PHI Apparel Company's got you covered to stand out at Lincoln Financial Field, at the ballpark at Citizens Bank Park, at the Wells Fargo Center for Sixers, Flyers, Wings, at Subaru Park, at the bar, hanging out with your friends and family. No matter what it may be, PHI Apparel Company's got you covered with the best unique designs in the merch game for your favorite Philly sports fans. Most comfortable shirts, most comfortable hoodies in the game. Go to phiapparel.co so you can stand out in the crowd. And when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. It's the most effective and direct way to support our podcasts. If you want to support us, rep our merch, get the word out there, rep PHI Apparel Company. And when you get your merch, tag us on the socials. We'll repost it so we know where you're rocking your PHI Apparel Company merch from. That's phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. It's one of those things, too, that you got to give props to the fans, too, because they showed up. They made it an environment that was loud, crazy, had like 4 hours of hell, as Rob Thompson once said. They showed up yesterday, especially. That first strikeout that Ranger Suarez gets, I thought the place was going to crumble to the ground. So cheers to all the fans that showed up, to try to be an influence on the game and an influence on the series. Just some also, like, kind of look yourself in the mirror type things. All-time bad quote from Garrett Stubbs now.
Oh, yeah.
All-time bad quote.
As soon as the series turned a little bit in Arizona and they brought that up, I was like, yep, that was a dumb thing to say. That was a dumb thing to say. That was our Arceus moment, you know? It's like, you got to own it. You said something stupid and you're a guy that doesn't see the field. You're the vibes guy. Dumb. This is just a dumb thing.
Dumb thing. The preemptive greasing of the polls felt like a bad vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm telling you, as soon as I saw that Sixers shirt, like, nope. He could have come out in anything else. Anything else. And you know what's crazy? And I love Bryce. Everything I said about him last week still holds true. He is someone that has pandered so much to Philly. You would think he would know that the Sixers are the cursed child of this city. And that, like, if there's one team you do not want to emulate over the last, like, 5 or 6 years and, like, invoke. Like, that is not the team that...
No.
This team had a Game 7 this year where they got dog-walked by halftime. It was the most embarrassing Game 7 performance. I didn't even bring it up when we were talking about worst losses because that was just... It was erased from my memory. It was that bad. It was that shameful that I just turned it off. It didn't even hurt me. Cause like, well,
it was expected.
Yeah, it was like, honestly, what did I even... truly, what did I expect from this? So, yeah. Vibes were so off. You know what's frustrating is now I have to, like, I don't have an excuse to, like, not be into the Sixers at the start of the season. Well, you know, the Phils are on. It's kind of tough. I got a lot going on now. It's like, God.
Well, I tweeted this from the account. We got the birds. We've got let's see, we got 6 days left of optimistic October, as the Flyers did typical Philly thing and lost with 30 seconds left last night. And we have survivors. So.
We got the Union.
We got the Union
in
for
the
now.
Dumb asshat backwards playoff format where we play Saturday and I gotta wait like 10 days to play again because we gotta do a best 2 out of 3 series for the first round. Don't understand that. But yeah, outside of that, I mean,
this also was just the cherry on top. And I said this series or this Game 7 felt like Game 5 against the Cardinals because obviously that Raul Ibanez ball that dies at the wall in 2011. Jason Stark tweeted, "How close did Bryce Harper come to another Bedlam at the Bank moment on the ball he hit in the 7th inning last night at 107.6 miles per hour, as close as he thought he did. He put 60 balls in play this season and postseason at 107 or harder, and he batted .763 on those balls with 15 home runs. Died at the wall."
It's, again, that is baseball. Well, actually, I think the format is really.
Why would the baseball playoff format make the Phillies lose?
I think it was the
my
format's,
column.
I think it's the format's fault. I actually think if you're the higher seed, you should get a 1-game advantage. I think you should start every series with a 1-game advantage.
I think you should just advance.
Yeah,
like
I think
the championship series, there's no need for it.
I think it's like I think if you beat the top seeded team, you should just go to the World Series. I think it's like, oh, well, you know what, you did it.
I think if you finish with the top wild card, you just have an automatic ticket.
Yeah.
World Series. Mm-hmm. Because it's clear the regular season doesn't matter. Truly.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the expanded playoffs are a bad thing, actually. Maybe we should cut out that last wild card spot.
Also, another crazy baseball stat. I don't know if you saw this one. The Brewers curse.
I've never wanted to mention this, but part of the reason I made a Diamondbacks bet at the very beginning of the series because I saw that if you beat the Brewers, you go to the World Series, and I was like,
every team to beat the Brewers.
I believe firmly in those things. I 100% believe.
This dates back to 1981 for everybody listening and watching.
There was, and it got broken for a very long time in European soccer. If you beat Pep Guardiola's team, you won the Champions League. It fell off a little bit in recent years, but that was a thing. If you beat his team, you won the Champions League. That was just it. If he didn't win it, whoever beat him won it. So
the 1981 Yankees, the 1982 Cardinals, then there was a nice little hiatus. 2008 Phillies picked it right back up. 2011 Cardinals, 2018 Dodgers, 2019 Nationals, 2020 Dodgers, 2021 Braves.
So I guess we should be betting on the Diamondbacks too.
The Diamondbacks have advanced to the World Series.
I guess we really should be throwing a bet or two down. Yeah, that was on it, like in part like outside of my usual routine of like, well, let me just what made my bet go from 20 to 25. I was like, I'm gonna get good value out of this. I'm gonna take everything that is worth it for. But man, it's just
I think Game 4 is the one that sticks with me more, too, as the determining factor for this, because Christopher Sanchez pitches as the starter, goes 38 pitches, and then the after-game comment from Rob Thompson is what drove me crazy, because somebody asked him about using Michael Lorenzen and Taijuan Walker, and he was like, those are our length guys when we need length, and it's like, this is the prime game, Topper, that you needed length. And the fact that Taijuan Walker didn't see the mound once in the entire playoffs when you paid him $100 million this offseason is a head-scratcher.
Yeah, I think fair to question that, but I don't know. I think, on the whole, I think Thompson had a good playoffs again. I think especially, like, the Braves, I think, deserves a lot of credit for that series, like how aggressive this team was in stealing bases and pitching. I think that's what's a little frustrating about the Diamondback series. It feels like lost that a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, it's, again, I think it's baseball. I know I keep going back to it, but it's such a sport with dumb variables. The best Phillies teams I've ever seen didn't win a World Series. You know, like, it's just what it is. I was talking with someone today, and we were just talking about, like, the other, like, tough losses. I was like, dude, 2011 is, like, the best starting pitching rotation I've ever seen in my life. Even, like, 2010. Like, those are, like, the best. I've never.
2011, I think, is the historically best Phillies team on paper ever.
I've literally never seen a better baseball team. I've never seen a harder, like, pitching roulette to go through. With 4 legitimate aces on this team. Lost. Didn't even make it to the World Series. What?
Didn't even make it to the NLCS in 2011.
What do you, you know, that's just what it is. I don't know. And I think that's why baseball has a lot of romanticism about it. It's because, yeah, you know, like, you can have the better team. It doesn't matter, because in 7 games, weird stuff can happen. You can lose a series, you can win a series. Like, it just is what it is. I don't know. So, I would like to think about the fun things of these playoffs. Brave series was great.
Stotts Grand Slam
Stotts
against the
Grand Slam was
Marlins.
a lot of fun.
Attaboy Harper.
Like, that's
Stare
cool.
downs.
The stare downs were fun. Even the Diamondback series, like, early on was
First
fun.
2 games was great. I mean, Zach Wheeler was, like, losing this NLCS is going to overshadow just how unbelievable Zach Wheeler was this postseason.
Yeah, he was great.
And he pitched in relief last night, and Cespedes Family Barbecue put this out. Pitched in relief for the first time in 13 years. Last time he pitched in relief was when he was in single A with the Giants, facing a team that had a 19-year-old Nolan Arenado on it. And Wheeler lowered his career postseason whip last night out of the bullpen to still have the best postseason whip of all time.
Yeah, he's a better postseason whip than Mariano Rivera.
Yep.
Which is just, yeah, he's great.
Like, extend him this offseason.
I would definitely be good. So, yeah, I think definitely leaves you with some questions about the offseason and what happens and who's back, who's not. But I think in general, you know, this is still a good team. I see
most of this team's going to be back.
I see no reason why this team can't be at least playoff contending again next year. I think it's going to be hard to catch the Braves in the division still, but who knows?
Well, once we find out that the Braves are cheating, they won't win 104 games, and
yeah,
it'll be a little easier to win the division maybe, but not that you want to, because the playoff format caters to not winning the division. Unless you're the Astros.
Yeah, unless you're the Astros, who I've never seen a series like that in my life.
Second time they've been involved in a series like that.
I know, and it's just like, I'd have 2 nickels, which is weird. You know, it's not that much, but it's weird that I have 2 of them. You know, like, it's weird that man. I don't even know what to root for in the World Series.
No.
I'm never a fan of, like, they beat us, so let's... No,
fuck them. And also fuck the Rangers.
I hate the Rangers. Oh, man. I guess there's no one on the Diamondbacks that I really hate, like, even grew to hate, though, through this series. Like, I honestly, like, I hated their surf's up thing. That's the only thing I can say about them that I, like, actively, like...
I hate their bullpen.
Yeah.
Their bullpen is just, like, a bunch of, like, you couldn't even pick them out of a line and be like, oh, yeah, he's a major league pitcher.
Man to ply.
Throwing 90 miles an hour, we can't even catch up to it.
Yeah.
Fucking Kevin Ginkel.
Completely different person from game 2. It's unbelievable. But
Kevin Ginkel, Andrew Salfrat,
yeah.
2 A's. And I also hate Brandon Pfaadt.
I gotta tell you though, talk about some ice in your veins.
Great job,
Jesus.
but it sounds like you're like throwing up saying this.
It's a tough name. It's a tough.
It's also
name.
reading the Bible in the dugout before the game.
God was on his side, I guess. I don't know.
Seems a little unfair.
So I gotta let you in on something. So we went to a wedding this past weekend, which was an Orthodox wedding, which is a new experience for me. And listen, I'm not like personally a religious person, but you know, it was an Orthodox wedding. It was a new experience. It was very interesting. And you know, like we just commented, like you know, like religion just not for me. Well, I got like the worst sleep of my life the night of the wedding when we came home, because like my cat and like it was just like having a terrible time. And then like the Phillies were on a downslide, and then so Sunday morning I go out to get groceries. Power steering on my car is gone. Gotta get it towed. Costs a ton of money to fix. I step on like glass in my house.
I've been there.
Like my toes cut open. And then the Phillies lose, and I look at my wife. I was like, I think there's a higher power here that might be. Just give me a little nudge, like, hey, brother, why don't you consider it? And then at work, someone gave me. I get this a lot, but someone gave me one of those, like, I don't know if they ever do this to you. They give you one of those cards. It's like God, and it's like,
oh yeah,
you're going to hell, and you're
those.
a sinner, and whatever. And someone handed me one of those, and I always just throw them right out,
Yep.
but so I threw it out, and I was like, and I told him, I was like, I think that might have been God testing me. I think he was like, listen, I'm gonna give you one shot here. All right,
hey brother, you want to right the ship?
Listen, just read it. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Let me compel you.
Just
quick.
read it. I'm gonna send one of my prayer warriors to come give you this card, and I threw it out, and he's like, cool, fuck you. I think that's what happened. I don't know.
Unreal. I mean, we'll have our full off season, you know, once the World Series comes to a close and it's closer to free agency and a better landscape and everything. But Phillies don't have that many free agents, you know, going into this off season. Biggest ones, obviously, Nola, who I think you and I are both on the same page. He should be priority number one.
Maybe after Game 6, I have some different thoughts. I don't know. I gotta tell you, his agents was probably like, fuck, god damn it, shit. Come on, Aaron, Jesus.
You were working your way back up to $200 million.
That was a $10 million game right there.
Even with that, I think Aaron Nola's priority number one, especially
Bring
looking at the landscape of free agent pitching this offseason. I mean, second best pitcher is a guy that's a free agent on this roster, in my opinion. That's Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah, and I mean, Ohtani can't pitch at all next year, so you'll sign him, but it's like DH spot. It's gonna be him probably, yeah, because who knows if he can throw. So you have to make some choices. I do wonder if there's any splashes out there for the Phillies, but
yeah, I mean, I'm looking right here at Spotrac to see free agent wise.
Can I be honest? I've never read it as Spotrac.
I didn't
Until
either.
You just said it out loud. I was like,
I didn't either, and then I heard.
I've always read it, and I don't know why. I've always read it as Sport Track. Like, and I'm wrong.
Yeah, the only reason I knew that was because I was watching like a Hot Stove episode on MLB Network, and they had somebody from their website on, and they pronounced it that way. I was like, oh, learn something new every day.
Like my entire life, I have just read it completely wrong. I've added an R, and I've just always read it as Sport Track, but it's clearly not. Wow.
Like, the free agents this offseason are just not great whatsoever, especially in the pitching side of things. I mean, like, the biggest, I think, pitching prospect free agent wise, other than Nola, is going to be Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
As a starter, and then relief wise, it's going to be Josh Hader.
Man, he fell off.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. Talk about a guy.
I mean,
2 years ago was like untouchable. Oh, you want Clayton Kershaw? Charlie Morton? Jesus. What happens to Julio Urias? How long until someone's like whatever?
Till he gets the Tyreek Hill treatment.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what the Braves do.
Any interest in Blake Snell?
He's such an interesting case. I think he is gonna get what a lot of people thought Nola was gonna get.
Yeah.
Because he had like this resurgent second half, and somebody's gonna overpay for him and immediately regret it.
Tyler, I never say his name right. Mahle.
Yeah, Tyler Mahle.
Always kind of like a Tyler Mahle.
Can I interest you in a 40-year-old Zach Greinke?
No, he's got to be done, right? I think
43.6-year-old Rich Hill.
There's not a ton of names there.
The Yankees killed Frankie Montas.
I would kick the tires on Montas just because I think there's something there. I liked him at the trade deadline that year. Like I thought.
I think it was just a bad.
Kershaw's only 35.
Yep.
Man, holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, the pitching. I stand corrected. We might have a better chance at re-signing Nola because Jordan Montgomery's a free agent.
Yeah.
And he's pitching in the World Series, and he was the one pitcher who shut down Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good.
But I think you make Nola your top priority. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Rhys Hoskins. And just the way they want to shuffle the lineup. Like, do you want to put Bryce back in right field? How does that affect the DH situation? Because then you have Castellanos, who has played a very above-average right field in Bryce's absence in the outfield. Schwarber, I think getting out of left field was the best thing for him. And then you just have a bunch of young outfielders as well with Rojas, Pache, Brandon Marsh, who extend Brandon Marsh this offseason. I think that's a top priority. Extend Wheeler. I think Wheeler and Nola being here for the next 4 years is a huge piece of the puzzle of the Phillies getting back to this position over the next half decade. Yeah. This episode of Underground Sports Philadelphia is brought to you by our awesome pals over at FOCO. FOCO, Forever Collectibles, baby. That's what it stands for, and their passion for passionate fans has never changed since their journey began all the way back in 1998. They've always been a community of fans with a shared goal of helping people let their inner fan shine like a beacon of awesome. FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. With major sports and entertainment licenses at their disposal, along with a powerful infrastructure, a dedicated team, and a broad variety of products, their company is reaching new heights every day. FOCO's success is directly related to their ability to bring new and exciting designs, ideas, and manufacturing techniques to categories in need of innovation. They're constantly searching for dedicated and driven professionals to join and help grow their team. And that's why they partner with Underground Sports Philadelphia. You guys saw me all postseason long rocking the Phillies overalls. You saw me wearing them on the show. FOCO has been nothing but awesome to us. We love being part of the FOCO fam. So if you guys want to get your overalls still, if you missed out on them, but still want to get them for next season, if you want to get any awesome collectibles from MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, your classic 90s cartoons from Nickelodeon, WWE, the whole 9 yards, they've got awesome stuff, including their ever so amazing, like it leaves me speechless how cool the bobbleheads they have are. Click the link in the description. Go to foco.com, visiting the link in our description to get your forever collectibles today. Shout out to FOCO for letting Underground Sports Philadelphia be a part of the FOCO fam.
It was a fun season. All things considered, listen, the one thing we wanted was just to seem to be back in the playoffs, have fun,
want
build
this
memories.
to be the standard.
I think one thing that I think will stick with me is a video from the Eagles game where Castellanos was there with his son and everyone was singing. And, it's just, that's fun. And, I think baseball really is one of the few sports that gets, especially in Philly, where Like when the Phillies are good, like that is a team that really gets a ton of support. And
I mean, you had Fletcher Cox celebrating with the team after they beat the Braves,
right? Like
in the clubhouse.
At the end of the day, like listen, you're gonna lose championships. No one has done that better this century than Philly. I think we honestly might be the city that has lost the most championships this century.
We have lost so much in the last calendar year.
Yes.
Let alone this and we talked about it when they clinched to go to the playoffs. Enjoy these moments because they are far and few between in franchise history.
Right. And it's also, listen, like, one team gets to win. That's you don't, and it's just like, if you don't get to win, it doesn't mean you don't get to have any fun. Like, I had a ton of fun this year. Team was fun to watch. It was a great playoff run. It sucks. I'm not going to pretend like I would rather, well, whatever. I had fun. Like, yeah, I want to win a World Series. I want these guys to win a World Series. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. It's sports. They gave you some good moments. And as the poet laureate once said, 50 Cent, sunny days wouldn't feel so special if it wasn't for rain. So maybe next year we're celebrating with champagne and this is a distant memory, or we're just doing reverse Phillies of 08 to 12 and we didn't even get the World Series. We're just going to make a World Series, losing it, make an NLCS losing it, and then next year we'll make the NLDS losing it, and just go from there, I guess.
I have a fun kind of just like take on this team because I saw some tweets being very negative about the team, and I think it's just reactionary. Number one, I feel like this is the most likable Philly sports team of our lifetime, just as a whole, top to bottom. Like, sure, you had the Super Bowl Eagles and everything, and like it was fun to root for the underdog, but I think every single player on this Phillies team, like, you could go up to somebody on the street and that player is that person's favorite player. When you have opposing teams' fans saying, yeah, I'd be cool with the Phillies winning the World Series. I saw Mets fans say they'd be cool with watching this Phillies team because they are so fun. They are so cool. But I saw a tweet, and shout out to my boy David Esser. I love you, brother, but kind of a raw emotion take, I think, that he tweeted. He said, the way the fans view the 2024 Phillies will be very different. I don't think anyone is going to buy into dancing on my own, team overalls, silly home run celebrations, etc. anymore. It's just going to be different.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true. But I also think, last year it was like we were lucky to be there. It was like we scrapped our way, we're playing with house money.
We were the Cinderella team last year. We were the Diamondbacks.
Exactly.
When
moral of the playoffs, sorry, be the 6th seed in the National League.
Honestly.
I think,
and be from Texas.
Yeah. I think this year, where it was, still kind of playing with house money, you're the wild card team, you take down the Titan that is the Braves. This could activate, the Phillies still being the fun, good vibes team, but also having like a villain arc to them.
Yeah.
Which would be fascinating to watch. Like Bryce has always kind of had that villain around him from his time in DC, and then just the teams that he said, no, I'm signing with Philadelphia, just abhorrently boo him no matter what. But I do think this team is going to take this series loss personally because they knew what could have been.
Yeah, I definitely, I think, for other like Philly teams especially, I think these guys have like a stronger personality, and I think that's really shown through. And next year will be fun. I'm already looking forward to it. And I think the biggest thing too, Bryce might actually be like healthy. I don't know that it's not fair to compare him to Walker, right? Because Walker's such a great defensive first, but there was a lot of times, I think, with an inferior, and there's a lot of inferior first basemen than Walker. There's some runs going in because I actually think that's an under-discussed part of this series is how good he was defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he blocked off a lot of shit. And not that Bryce made any, like, big mistakes, but there were times it's like, I could have been better there. And it's fine. It's played, like, 40 games at the position.
Right.
I'm not, but I think we already saw what a huge difference it was getting Schwarber out of outfield defensively. And I think maybe Bryce at his normal position, and you move from there with, if it's Reese, if it's someone else that's just more comfortable, has a lot more time at first base, and hopefully Bryce is healthy and ready to go, because that was a question mark for me all year. It was just, is this allowed? It's still a bizarre thing to me that he played as quickly. He was back as quickly as he was, and I don't know. It's that'll
His
always
team
be.
was one game away from the World Series with Bryce Harper out for a month.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, having to take the DH spot all season was the big thing as well. So, fun year, fun team. They will be back next year, obviously. But will they? Playoffs, I think, are on the table again for them. And we've seen. Listen, it ends on a sour note. So this isn't going to hit the same. But this team does have a mentality. They do have an edge when they get to the playoffs. That edge got a little dulled in the series. I'm curious to see how they respond now. But this has been a team that, when they're in the playoffs, have locked in. This was really their worst series. The World Series, I think they were just outclassed, honestly. But I think this was a series where this is the only time I've seen this team, I don't want to say beat themselves. I don't want to take too much credit away from them, but it felt like they let it get away from them a little bit. And that's frustrating, but I'm curious to see how they respond, because before this was a team with a really good mentality.
And I still think this team, overall is the 1A in the National League East. Like, the Marlins, they just let their GM go, who has led them to their most successful season in a decade. So there's a lot of questions around them. They have some free agent questions that they have to answer, and it seems like there's a lot of front office turmoil with that team once again. So rip bozos. And it seems like the Mets are kind of punting 2024 from all, signs and indications from everything, and they're regrouping for 2025. There's no reason that this team, with the talent that's on it, with the very few changes that could come, that they shouldn't be, I think, in the 90 to 95 win range again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
with a full season of Bryce, hopefully.
Trey Turner's probably not going to suck for the first 3.5 months. I say probably, because we don't know. Yeah, a lot of fun. Good time. Sucks, but good season. Had a lot of fun. They're the only Philly team that is honestly, everyone else has just been, man, what a goddamn season. Like, the Eagles is like, geez, are we even good? no one knows. The Union, they played 800 games this year. They're not paying half the team. They're like, whatever. It's just the Flyers, do I even need to say. The Sixers are, honestly,
dead last.
The mountains in the U.S. where they have to store radioactive material, and they have to put a plaque outside for future, far off future civilizations. Be this is not a holy site. This is not a burial ground. Stay away. All this stuff. That is where I need the Sixers team to be locked up, because I'm just not in the mood. I'm in no mood to deal with this shit.
Not at all.
The only thing that's been nice is I didn't have the stomach to listen to the Doc Rivers podcast with Bill Simmons. I did see some of the aggregated quotes. You're gonna be shocked to hear this, Kyle, but man, it wasn't Doc's fault, none of it. And he somehow backed Tyrese Maxey to have a good year. Yeah, man, I wish you had realized that when you were the coach.
I also saw that the reason that he's in TV right now is because of James Harden.
Yeah, well, that part I think is actually there's actually some truth to that. That might be one of the more true things he said, but yeah, great circus that we're.
I mean, we said it last week. There's no need for us to talk about that team, and I think that is the collective feeling amongst the people we follow, our listeners. They do not give a fuck about the Sixers.
Burned bridges in just ways you cannot even imagine, honestly.
And that's the difference, too. 2021, when that team lost to the Hawks, that was your nail in the coffin for them. That's on the record on this show. We did a podcast out, and you were like, I'm done. it's very polar opposite with what happened last night with the Phillies. This feels like, like you said, they kind of shot themselves in the foot in a bunch of instances, but this team is still wildly talented. They have the tools to get back to where they need to be, and there's at least a mission, and the front office is not a bunch of just loose screws for the Phillies. So that's a positive note, but the people, reactionary talking about the Phillies being like, oh, it's over, blah, blah. No. This team is still wildly intact for a long, long time. And the way that John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski have approached the past few off seasons, don't be surprised when the Phillies make some sort of splash, whether it's a trade, free agency. They are going to make the necessary moves to make this team better.
Shohei Ohtani. That's the way to get me really locked back in. You bring Ohtani to this team, I will. I don't even know. I'll start smoking cigars. Whatever Middleton's little cigar, I will start ripping them. That's what I'll do. That's my promise. But
I'm terrified that Ohtani's going to go to the Red Sox.
I don't really like if he goes to the Red Sox. Cool. I don't know. I do have some vested interest in how the Red Sox are going to spend their money. So I don't know. Maybe that $60 million a year could be used for better.
Also,
things.
what a bullet we dodged. Speaking of the Red Sox, not hiring Chaim Bloom.
Yeah, I wonder. He obviously wasn't great. I wonder how much of that too, though, was because I'll say this as a Liverpool fan. There's been a lot of turnover in that front office over there's been 3 or 4 different. Soccer's a little different. Like there's not as defined roles, but what would essentially be like a GM, or like head of like scouting department. There's been a ton of turnover in the last like year and a half, and there was a guy that was appointed to it, and then within 4 months was like, I'm out. Like there's been a lot of like turbulence there. I think there's something with, again, definitely with Bloom himself, but I think also with FSG and some of the parameters I think they want to play in, and the money that they're willing to spend, and like the risk and cost that they're willing to go through, I think rubs people the wrong way too. But that's just my read. No inside information. There's just as someone that
has vested interest.
Someone that has to really care about John Henry and his stupid fucking gloves that he wears all the time. The guy wears more gloves than I've ever like. I love the man in some ways, but God almighty. His wife is cool. Cool lady, but outside of that.
And I think it's a good time to announce, too. We posted on Twitter. We did our tailgate podcast this past season for opening night, which is the day after like the Thursday day game. We're running that back. We're going to try to make that an annual thing. Season starts in March this year, Matt. First series is that last weekend in March, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
It's the Braves, isn't it, too?
And it's the Braves.
God damn. Just really hoping that'd be a ring ceremony. Oh, man. See you in March, you sickos.
March 30th, 2024. We'll be in Jetro doing the fucking thing, running it back with a whole bunch of our sponsors, hopefully some new sponsors along the way as well. But gear up, put it in your calendars. March 30th, 2024. Blooper's funeral, maybe.
I did see his head.
His head was on a stake at the Kelly Green tailgate, which was very, very funny.
I think it's a pretty uniquely Philly thing to do. I'll be honest.
Also, Blooper tweeting through it last night was just...
You honestly...
Get a grip.
It's just unbelievable, brother. You're a derivative.
I wanted to do the Scooby-Doo meme, pulling the mask off, and it's just the Braves owner is behind Blooper.
Yeah. I mean, at least we got the Eagles to look forward to.
Yeah.
Union are in the playoffs. We'll see what they give us.
Eagles, they just gotta figure out the fucking red zone, man.
Yeah. Listen, Niners lost. I'm feeling a little more vindicated in my preseason Niners take that hey, maybe the team that's injured all the time and Brock Purdy, although
Who's now injured?
got a concussion, maybe that's why he was throwing those picks late in the game. You never know. Don't want to be too harsh on him.
Now Sam Darnold, the chosen son of San
He
Francisco.
he's gonna fucking turn into Steve Young. I'm telling you right now. Brock Purdy's gonna lose his job.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Darnold's gonna come in this weekend, 310 and 3 touchdowns, and he's gonna look great.
Who does San Francisco play?
The
this week?
Bengals.
Oh,
Yep. I'm telling you right now.
jeez. I mean, I think the Eagles beating the Dolphins was like the biggest like litmus test so far this year, especially with how they beat them and held that offense in check for almost the entire game. Also, Eagles make a huge trade, which also threw like the balance off a little bit going into Game 6. Howie, you got to control when you announce your trades, brother. Kevin Byard, now an Eagle. I think that just helps. He's from here.
There's been a lot of discussion about the brotherly shove and whether or not it should be allowed. I think if you want to restore a competitive balance to the league, Howie Roseman should not be able to contact the Tennessee Titans. He should not be allowed to do it.
Well, did you see somebody change the Titans Wikipedia page and said that the Tennessee Titans are a farm league team for the Philadelphia Eagles?
It's just on it like
Just wait till Derrick Henry's here.
I don't even know that I'd be shocked at this point.
No.
He might end up somewhere. Who knows?
I mean,
Wait till
apparently-
DeAndre Hopkins is here.
I mean, I saw a report that the Titans are open to trading DeAndre Hopkins, so
No, the Hopkins are gonna go to the goddamn Cowboys or something. Like that would be. I'm telling you, that is one of the most Cowboys moves I can imagine.
yeah.
Or Henry, honestly, because like Pollard lost some efficiency. He's better as like a.
It's very
counterbalance
Cowboys
guy.
or like very Buffalo Bills.
I think they like James Cook. They like.
Well, I'm saying for Hopkins.
Oh, for Hopkins, they do. They really could use. I think because they've lost so much defensively. I think they maybe just go all in and trying to boat race to 40. But Derrick Henry, Ravens could be there. They've lost a ton of running backs to injury. Feels like a year for them. So it was an interesting week in the NFC too, because obviously Niners lose, Lions lose. You know, makes the Jets loss I think even more frustrating because you could have a more comfortable lead at the top. But you get a win against a good opponent, primetime game. 49ers can't relate to that. Can't relate to beating the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, shout out.
Cowboys were on a bye, so
I feel very vindicated because at the beginning of the season, just talk about how much I love Kirk Cousins now. Big fan of his. Showed out. And you know what? I got to say this too. I know nobody cares about hearing other people's fantasy team, but I'm going to say it anyway. Monday night, I was down like 20 points. I had Jordan Addison. My opponent had George Kittle. I was like, I'm not winning this week, and that's fine. You can't win them all. I won by 1.5 points.
look at us.
And I watched that Jordan Addison when he ripped the ball out of, I think, Tre'Davious Ward's hands and took it in for 16 to touchdown. I was like, you know what? I think I might win this week.
I won by math is hard because of decimal points. Very close matchup in my league as well. I won by 3.1.
There's no better feeling. There's no better feeling than being on the other side of like a narrow fantasy football win. That is, I've never tried like hard illicit drugs. That's got to be what doing crack is like, though.
Oh yeah,
It's got to be.
I mean, my first championship I won was by 2.2 points,
Oh,
and it was because Emmanuel Sanders got injured and didn't play the second half of the game, and I won that game with Andrew Luck giving me 2.12 fantasy points.
and that always makes it better too. It's like you have someone that really just shit the bed, and it doesn't matter.
And it was even better because I looked at my bench at the time, and my backup quarterback. This is how long ago this was because Andrew Luck was my starting quarterback, and my backup quarterback was Johnny Manziel.
Wow.
And Johnny Manziel gave me half the points that Andrew Luck gave me because he got injured in his game.
Money Manziel, baby. I have not watched this documentary.
I haven't either, but I heard it was like pretty solid.
I would be into it, but I also think it's not far enough removed to be a documentary.
Agreed.
Yet, in my opinion.
I feel like we've done that too much.
Florida Gators, not sure we're ready for a documentary, and I
And I
think if
heard
you're
it's
gonna tell the Florida Gators story, Urban Meyer cannot be a part of it.
No.
Because from everything I heard about that was just Meyer propaganda.
Yeah.
You gotta, if you're gonna do it, you gotta tell the story. But
Give me the backstory of Aaron Hernandez. Give me the Pouncey brothers. The Pouncey brothers weren't even in it.
which is
Insane.
like, I just, you're not telling the full story.
Give me Riley Cooper's racist background.
What is up with Michigan, by the way? I cannot tell what. And listen, I'm not.
Are we talking about the state of Michigan? Because Michigan State also. What the fuck is up with you guys?
Yeah. Well, trivia night is canceled going forward. I think
Trivia Tuesday is done.
Did you see Magic Johnson's tweet?
No.
Magic Johnson tweeted about it in his very typical. It was. I feel. It was just like I'm concerned about what's happening at my alma mater or whatever. Thankfully, he did not describe to us who Hitler was, because that would be a very Magic Johnson
Did
thing
you
to
see
do.
the tweet? It said it was kind of concerning. There was, at one point, more Hitler references on the scoreboard than Michigan State points.
You just gotta listen. Outside of like a history classroom, there's really never a good time to be bringing Hitler up. You just don't.
There's
If at
no
any
need.
point you start talking about Hitler, you should honestly just stop, because chances are it's not going to go a direction you want it to. It just isn't. You're going to stumble over a word or two. You're going to phrase something weird, and now all of a sudden you've done something terrible to yourself. Just leave it. Just leave it alone. All right. We all know he's a bad guy. We don't need trivia.
At all.
We don't need trivia about him. Just don't need it. But the Michigan stuff, they're like stealing.
Yeah,
signs or something?
I've heard more about
Where
it
is
too.
where is the line on this? Because I'm not even trying to be like, is this illegal? But like, where is the line between like, I would want to try and steal signs too.
Right.
Is that not?
Apparently, this guy is like a former Navy SEAL too.
He was a logistics officer in like
Yeah.
the Marines or something, and was buying tickets to other games
On both sides of the field too.
I should have read more about it, but like every time I read it, I was like, I feel like I'm missing something, because people were talking about like the death penalty, which people always talk about with college football, and it's not going to happen unless something really crazy happens. But like people are talking about like really severe punishment. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing a part of this story.
I mean, great name for the guy stealing the signs, Connor Stallions.
Yeah, like come on, this is a teenager's book. This is not real life.
Allegedly bought tickets for more than 30 games, many of them Big Ten, and used, quote, illegal technology to steal signs. So he worked for the Astros. He's using trash cans. Stallions has been suspended with pay pending the outcome of the NCAA's investigation.
Brother. Hell yeah.
Harbaugh, who's already been entangled in the NCAA, is an obvious focal point here as well. I mean, if you're John Harbaugh, you also just like finish out the year and then just go coach the Bears.
Yeah. I guess it's not like ethical, but like honestly, like is that I guess I'm struggling. I would love to hear someone who is like very upset about this explain to me. Like I'm genuinely willing to listen and understand.
Especially because like we live in a part of the country where like college football doesn't really do
like,
anything for us.
Does not move the needle at all. And it's just, for me, yeah, if you're doing signs, I would expect that someone is paid to try and decode those signs and trying to get an edge. It's why you watch film, right? Is to try and figure out tells. Like, there's been all types of stories about, we knew when someone's foot placement was like this, that meant they were running this. Is that any different? I guess the way you like get that information, right?
They're saying that he was picked up on an opposing Big Ten school's surveillance camera, and the entire game he was on a phone filming the opponent's sideline. I feel like anybody could be doing that.
Yeah, like that's what I just don't get. Is like, okay, like maybe like, yeah, cut it out. Like that's not, again, ethics, your morals. Is that a gray area for you? I don't know. Is that sportsmanship? I don't know. But like also, is that honestly like, I feel like I've seen this thing and like people have been talking about it, and I was like, oh shit, what happened? Because I'm not like
right
all that plugged into college football. I was like, what's going on? And then I read it. I was like, I feel like I'm missing a part of this story, because like there's a lot of people I saw tweeting about this. Like I saw a few articles. I was like, I read them. I was like, I feel like there's an article that was written in the beginning that I missed that I need to find.
This is a great quote. At least one person in the Big Ten expressed anger over the scandal and told ESPN that, quote, everyone is mad.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just missing the part of my brain.
Maybe now that we have a little bit more free time on the dockets, we'll try to find a Big Ten college football expert to explain this to our non-college football
Why should I
brains.
care?
Why does this matter?
Why does this matter more than Alabama huffing deer antler spray? Like, why?
Yeah, this story made no sense to me at all. And obviously, we have a Michigan fan who works for our company and our good pal DJ. And I saw some tweets, too, from Michigan fans. It's like, this is great for the program because we're back on top when everyone just has to resort to, oh, they're stealing signs, they're cheating. That's how you know you're the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Underground Sports Philadelphia is also brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. You guys know Kenny's been rocking with us for a long, long time now. It's smooth, clean, and bright with taste to boot. Kenny is the routine choice of folks who want a balanced, flavorful, no-frills beer that's right for any occasion. It's 4.1% ABV, just 120 calories, only 8 grams of carbs. They just dropped new Kelly Green Kenwood crew necks and shirts on their storefront, and they're available in New Jersey now for all of my New Jersey people. Kenny's have come to our awesome state. So go to kenwoodbeer.com and use that Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap or available in local liquor stores in the Pennsylvania, that includes Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, New Jersey, and Maryland areas. Got to be 21 or older to do so. Check out that Kelly Green merch before it's gone as well. And like I said, got to be 21 or older to do so. Please drink responsibly, and some call Kenny the best light beer they've ever had. We just say you can't beat the original.
Hold on. There's an SI article that was published 7 hours ago. Connor Stallions texted that he stole opponent signals from TV and had a vision for the Wolverines. He said he envisioned leading Michigan football one day, and to prepare was creating a 100-page-long document he called the Michigan Manifesto. This guy is the coolest person. This is okay. So he graduated from the Naval Academy in 2007. It's Connor Stallions guy. During his time in Annapolis, he worked as a student assistant with the football team. Curiously, this included an overlap with his time on his LinkedIn report. He says he volunteered for Michigan. In the course of his conversation with the Power 5 student, which extended over about 3 weeks, Stallions would claim that shortly after graduation, he obtained a decade's worth of high school national standardized test scores and GPAs for approximately 500 midshipmen football players, data that he should not have been allowed to possess. He simply went onto the Naval Academy's admissions office and name-dropped Coach Ken Nimadalo. I'm sorry, Ken. While he said the admissions office told him to delete the data the following day, Stallions coy over whether he had made that clear that he used the data to inform his recruiting philosophy. That is...
Okay.
That's way more egregious than showing up to a game and recording some signs. I think that's it. That's actually illegal. So...
Yeah, if there's any Big Ten college football experts out there that would love to come explain to two tri-state area boys who know nothing about college football what the fuck is up, we'd love that.
While at the Naval Academy, a source close to the football program describes Stallions as obsessed with Michigan to an excessive degree. What the hell, man? Wow. Well,
I have a picture of Connor Stallions too.
Guy, just go big blue, just use. Man, that's
Good
unbelievable.
grief.
Well, looking forward to seeing how this develops.
Yeah. Can't wait to see Harbaugh coaching in the NFL next year finally. Yeah, Eagles play Sunday, one of their final 1:00 games. I think they only have one more after this that's actually scheduled because that last week of the season is like a to-be-determined time slot against the Giants. But 1:00, it's very funny that both games against the Commanders, 1:00.
Yeah. Well, they were like, let's just get these out of the way, honestly.
I mean, it's. I think the real question is Josh Harris at the Sixers game tonight, or tomorrow night, or is he at the Commanders game?
Shout out to the Commanders. Shout out to Sam Howell. He's going to break David Carr's sack record unless something inside of him bursts or breaks first.
Yeah, that's a good one. How many sacks did the Eagles get in the revenge game after, narrowly beating the Commanders this year?
I could see it being a day for them.
It's going to be interesting. Union in the playoffs, like we mentioned. 4v5.
New
Best
England.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Lost to New England on decision day.
It's awesome. We get to play the same team like
maybe
4 times in a row. The best 2 out of 3 series for the first round is just obscene.
And you expressed that when
so dumb.
It got announced.
First seed means nothing now outside of you get home field advantage.
You want to talk about playoff format?
Dumb. It's a dumb system. I don't mind like a play, like they have a plan tonight that kicked off like a half hour ago, but that I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have like extra playoff games, cool, whatever. Do you? But like honestly, what are we doing? Very dumb.
So we'll see what happens there, because there's obviously some off the field turmoil with contracts going on, and
just feels a little doom gloom going into the playoffs this year.
Not great. And then the Flyers do the most Flyers thing last night after the Phillies lose. They're like, hey, we want to join in on the fun. Lose with 30 seconds left against the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Well, I need you to hear the page length on his Michigan manifesto. Between 550 and 600 pages.
What the fuck?
That he managed daily.
What?
This guy's a psycho. What? That's unbelievable.
500, 600 pages managed. That's like...
that you could get a PhD and write a dissertation that is a quarter of that length.
My man's on his Samuel Oak grind, upkeeping the Pokédex.
It's honestly unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable. He's in Gen 8 or whatever. He is just putting in the work.
10x, baby.
Unbelievable.
Good grief. We'll be back on full-on Survivor recaps next week. But I haven't been able to catch up just yet, but I've seen some things sprinkle their way onto my timeline, Matt. Not a lot of people happy with this season so far.
Of what?
Of Survivor.
Oh. I have liked it so far. I know you're with the Phillies and everything a little behind. I don't want to spoil anything, but I actually have liked it. And I think the longer episodes help. And
I should actually say a lot of former players are unhappy.
That's surprising to me. I've
seen a lot more pop up on my timeline of just being disgruntled. Because I did see, another player quit. So I do know that. But
so, yeah, that's the only thing is there have been those issues this season, which is
that's
bummer.
Been the loud part from a lot of former contestants on Survivor.
Is that like casting's fault necessarily? How can you possibly tell when someone's gonna come out there and not want to be there? I don't know. It sucks. But I think the people on it have been good. And again, I feel like the extra time you get a little bit more about the tribes and everything, and I think that's nice. It's been a good season. There's some good players on here. I like it.
I saw I forget who it was, but I saw somebody say that she talked to a former player on a recent season. It was like before they went out there. She was like, for like 3 months before you go out there, you gotta quit sugar, quit nicotine, quit anything extra.
Yeah.
To get your body just like ready for being out there. And a lot of people don't do that, and that's when you see like people kind of break down later in the season, or obviously the first episode of this season where you have somebody quit.
I remember Shane and is that Nicaragua? I think he was like pacing like an animal. He was unbelievable. But yeah, don't smoke to begin with. But if you are gonna smoke, definitely wean yourself off before you go and be in the middle of nowhere for a month.
Crazy shit. But we'll be back with Survivor breakdowns next week. Back talking Eagles, Union, Flyers. Hopefully give us something to talk about because the basketball team certainly is the last thing we want to talk about. Shout out to the Phillies, though. And I mean, I think this season, like last year was great for us with the Phils, obviously going to the World Series and everything. But I think, us being in the building as much as we were this year with our season tickets and, connecting with people that work for the Phillies this year, we're working on some stuff to really bring our relationship with the organization to new levels, especially this offseason, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're working on some projects to pitch to people, and hopefully we can make it happen. But I mean, the Phillies they're back. It feels like they're back. This feels like the standard that they're setting for themselves, and it's fun for us to be along for the ride with it and be able to talk to you guys every week about it. So if you're new, if you've been an OG, big thank you to you guys listening and watching every single week, following along with us on social during the Phil season. It's a grind, going from April to the end of October like this. But, you guys make it worth it. This team makes it worth it. So big thank you from all of us here for following along with us for Phillies coverage all year long. And we're hoping to only enhance it going into 2024. So keep your eyes peeled. That's why you got to follow us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. You can follow Matt at Matt Castorina. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Be sure to get your merch, phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off any and all merch orders. And, of course, this podcast presented by the City of Vineland. And whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. It's been another episode of Underground Sports Philadelphia, episode number 580. For Matt, I'm KB. Shout out to the Phils. Go Birds. We're getting the heck up out of here. And we are signing off. Peace.